the Freedom Friday. Okay. This is the Freedom Friday Forum for the August 26th, 2022. My name is Babu Mosi Matsimo, and I'll be your host uh, this evening. And, we have a wonderful guest who will give you a wonderful, history of things you don't hear about when it comes to black radio and the history of black music, etc. He's been there. He was, he's an activist in that. I'm saying an activist, but let's face it, um, he's a veteran, and he's not coming from a book or what somebody told him. It's a lot of this is from his own experience. But before we get into this, um, Freedom Friday Forum on the history, the real history of black radio, and it's all about the legacy of a great man, and we're going to discuss this person. I'm going to let Baba Shaka do that himself. So discuss this person. So um, that we do the rituals. This is the UNIAACL RC 2020, the Woodson Banneker Jackson Bay Division. We do this Freedom Friday Forum twice a month. And so, coming from the organization, government of the UNIAACL RC 2020, we have to proceed in a certain manner because this is the public we're dealing with, and a lot of the people don't know what we're all about. Although we've been around historically over 100, and I guess it's I'm missing something here. 14 years. Uh, Let me say, it's a long time, and from it's 100 years since 102 years since we have a constitution made, since we had the great convention in New York, when we had more than 10,000 people marching in New York City, and the founder, that great founder, the Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey, who did his thing with his other ancestors, putting everything together. It's the largest convention of black folks that was ever done, and it has not, history has not changed that. So we are coming from a historical end, and let me give you a preamble of the Constitution. Well, no, first let me start with the official UNIA pledge to the flag. The red, black, and green, as you see out there, that red, black, and green flag, let me tell you, folks, that's our flag. It's African people's flag. So a lot of people are, all right, it's okay to use it, but a lot of people don't know where it's from. They don't know the origin. And so let me tell you, that great red, black, and green flag came from the UNIAACL, led by the Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey. All right, so here's how we do things. We open up with a pledge to the flag. And here it goes. I commit my body, mind, and spirit to the protection, defense, and security of the red, black, and green. I dedicate my life to the redemption of Mother Africa and the liberation of her scattered black children. I accept for myself and my descendants the teachings of universal African nationalism, and I promise that our children will be instilled with the purpose and knowledge of themselves as African people, in order that the cause of our struggle will neither falter nor fail until all black people are free and united through one God, one aim, one destiny. But furthermore, let me give you another piece of history, and that is that we created a constitution. UNIAACL in 1920 promulgated a constitution for black people everywhere. And here is the preamble of that constitution. That was 1920. The Universal Negro Improvement Association and African Communities League is a social, friendly, humanitarian, charitable, educational, institutional, constructive, and expansive society, and is founded by persons desiring to the utmost to work for the general uplift of the Negro peoples of the world. And the members pledge themselves to do all in their power to conserve the rights of their noble race and to respect the rights of all mankind. Listen to that carefully. Believing always in the brotherhood of man and the fatherhood of God. The motto of the organization is one God, one aim, one destiny. Therefore, let justice be done to all mankind, realizing that if the strong oppresses the weak, confusion and discontent will ever mark the path of man. But with love, faith, and charity towards all, the reign of peace and plenty will be heralded into the world, and the generations of men shall be called blessed. And that is, in a short couple of paragraphs, what the preamble of the Constitution of the UNIAACL. I hope you've, those of you who have not heard it before, that you have listened carefully and my words were clear, and that you understand that we're an organization of peace and love. Say that let justice be done to all mankind, realizing that if the strong oppresses the weak, confusion and discontent will ever mark the path of man. With love, faith, and charity towards all, the reign of peace and plenty will be heralded into the world. We mean it. We of the UNIAACL-RC 2020, in this day, this time, we want you to know that that is how we operate. We are walking in Garvey's footsteps, in his footprints. We are his disciples. We are Garvey. When we say Garvey lives, we mean that within us, the African people, as we are today, especially those of us in the UNIAACL, we are Garvey, and we are doing what Garvey came to do, what he has given us in the UNIAACL, him and those people who were together in 1920, trying to preach the world of oppression coming from the white man, coming from the colonialists, coming from US and other imperialists. It's a struggle that is still going on, but we continue. So, I want you to know that tonight, though, is not about all that. Tonight we have a guest, Brother Sumani, and he's going to give us some history here. That is something that some of you may have heard, and some of you, I'm sure most of you have not. You don't know a thing about it. It's something that you ought to know, though, because the history of the black man when it comes to art and culture, voice, it's something wonderful. I don't think it can be matched. The world dances to our beat, our music. Everywhere in the world, the music is changing to the Afro beat, the beat that comes out of the heart of the African man and woman, out of African history, out of the continent of Africa, where man's history began. I say that again, where man's history, the human being, his history began. So let me turn this over now to my guest, Baba Tashaka Sumani. Welcome, Baba Tashaka.
Greetings, Baba Mosey. How are you, sir?
I'm doing fine, my brother. We just came from this wonderful convention out there in San Diego, and I'm just hyped up, because it was a beautiful convention, the UNIACLRC 2020 64th International Convention. And we did a good job. I'm saying we, because, I think you were there. Were you there?
I was there.
All right. So
it takes a village. Yeah, I was absolutely there.
The African man need to be, all African people ought to know that when the UNIACL gives a convention and we invite you, you need to be there.
We come. That's right. That's right.
Learn, when it comes to African redemption, you will get the message. So, my brother.
That's right.
You are here tonight to tell us about what?
Yeah, want to talk about Jack the Rapper. Jack the Rapper is the godfather of Black radio and Black music. Now, before I get into Jack the Rapper, just want to give a little background on myself, and how I became acquainted with Jack the Rapper and how I became son of Jack the Rapper. Briefly, when I turned 18, I got my first radio job. I'd always been a DJ, that type thing. So when I turned 18, I got my first broadcasting job on the radio, this is Black radio history, WILE in Cambridge, Ohio. So I started broadcasting, but I was very young. So I took a break from that to gain more discipline because I saw what the industry was all about. So one day I was reading a magazine about, they were looking for a DJ in Las Vegas. So in those situations, I had gone to let me back up just a second. After I did my first radio stint, I went to broadcasting school, ironically in San Diego, California. When I was going to broadcasting school, my final assignment was to produce, and articulate a news story, a latest news story. When I was coming home from class, I turned on my television and I saw the Space Shuttle Challenger explode. And of course, that's terrible.
Yeah, I'm about 6 or 7 minutes away, darling. I'm in traffic too.
Oh, I think I'm missing something. So if you can hear me, wait a minute.
We can hear you. Baba Mosey's on mute. We can hear you.
Oh, okay.
You're fine. You're fine, Tashaka. You're fine.
Yes, okay. So in my final assignment in broadcasting school, I did the news story on the Space Shuttle Challenger, and I turned it in. When I got my final exam back in broadcasting school in radio, I received A-, and I kind of figured it was A+ work. But here's the situation. My teacher, his name was Burton Richardson. He was the MC of the Arsenio Hall show. And what I'm saying is, he was the MC of the Arsenio Hall show. And some of these people act as gatekeepers. When I got my final exam back in broadcasting school, the note was, there's absolutely no way this student can record a news story and articulate it so well. We're going to give him an A-. And that really disturbed me. But it showed me that there would be other gatekeepers in the industry as we move along. And as I know, and only Jack the Rapper was trying to break that. So did a lot of radio, AM, FM, syndication, all that type thing. But I applied for a job in Las Vegas. Of course, when you apply for radio jobs, you send in your tape and you compete with DJs from all over the country or whoever wants the job. So I tossed in my tape thinking that, well, they have to compete with me. And of course, we know we can accomplish our will. So I did that. I got the job in Las Vegas. So as I worked in Las Vegas, I began, Jack the Rapper would stop by from time to time. Jack the Rapper, he's the godfather of Black radio, Black music, and all the artists know him. He's Jack the Rapper. So while I'm doing my radio show, he usually be in the studio, and we got to become really, really great friends. And we would talk a lot, and he shared with me lots of things that only an icon of Black radio can't. See, Jack the Rapper, not only represent himself, but he represented what's called the original 13 Black broadcasters. And these people for years tried to unify and work together and expose to us what was really going on behind the microphone, behind the scenes in the music business. That is Jack the Rapper, the icon. And I can talk about him all day, and I'll go this way and that way because it's a bit, it's personal for me, because I actually, once I left Las Vegas in 1995, of course, Las Vegas, where we're training and teaching radio personalities and all that type of thing, I was still keeping contact with the Godfather. And I actually spoke to him on his deathbed. And when I'm speaking to him, he's not concerned with me. He's not concerned with himself. He is concerned with Black music, Black radio, and if we can preserve it, if we can save it, because he saw, and they all saw, the elders, how it was changing, how it was degenerating, and there has to be something that we can do. And that was the last conversation I had with this man, Jack the Rapper, Godfather. And what I'm saying now today is that there is something that we can do. There's absolutely something that we could do. There's something that we need to do. And I'm going to get into that as we continue to talk about Jack the Rapper, who was the first Black man to own a radio station, a Black man radio station, WERD, I believe, in Atlanta. And what also makes this significant is the DJ, the MC, is directly correlated to the community. It was Jack the Rapper, while he was doing his radio show, Reverend King would tap on the floor with a shoe to get his attention because he needed to speak to the community of Atlanta. So Jack would lower his mic out the window down to the first floor so Reverend Dr. King could speak to Atlanta. And that's kind of what got that going. And it shows us how the relationship between the personality and our community. It was Jack the Rapper that made that possible. And it was also Jack the Rapper. He was also the good buddy of Berry Gordy. He served as Berry Gordy, Mr. Berry Gordy. We know him as the CEO of Motown Records. As artist development and recruitment, Jack the Rapper, Jack Gibson, Jockey Jack, Mellow Yellow, he's responsible for a lot of recruitment and support in people we know today as Stevie Wonder, Smokey Robinson, Michael Jackson, others. It's a deep family affair. That is Jack the Rapper in a nutshell. Jack the Rapper was so important to artists and the community back in the early 90s that sometimes we would go for a walk and just talk through casinos or whatever, and we'd walk and talk about Black music and Black radio. And almost every celebrity you could ever think of would come out of the woodwork. I don't know where they came from or where they're coming from, but if you walk around with this man, almost everyone you can think of in entertainment, music would come up and shake this man's hand and speak to him. He is Jack the Rapper, the Godfather. It just goes on and on. Yeah, and I think I'll stop right there and give you a chance to ask maybe a couple of questions so we can get deeper into his legacy, and maybe I can share some things that he shared with me.
Well, yes. Good. That's a preview of what's to come. You know, we've got 2 hours, bro. So
Yeah.
you know and the stories that I understand that you have, you know, you just have to let them go because you know the people ought to know. You know, and right now, you know, what's that saying? You know, inquiring minds may be out there. After you said, you know, that you know, it's the legacy of Jack the Rapper and the Godfather of radio, you know, that opens up the mind to say, wait a minute, I didn't know this, so you know, I got to hear what this story is all about. Well, you when you first met him. And you worked at a radio station. Had you any idea that that this is what would have happened to this man? Or was he already, I guess, in that path of fame, or it started from then? What can you tell me there?
Well, in the broadcast industry, Jack the Rapper is well known by radio personalities, program directors, DJs, audiences where he performed in different places like that. So Jack the Rapper was in fact our our icon. He in fact produced his own magazine called Jack the Rapper, a trade magazine with industry.
Uh-oh.
And we'd all traded, and we'd put our playlist in and talk umbrella of Jack the Rapper, the Godfather. Um, when I when I met Jack the Rapper, I was hosting a morning show, and it was around the time when the Malcolm X movie came out, and Spike Lee was promoting it heavily in radio. So we're gonna back it up. So what they would do is normally the people in the movies business and radio and whatnot and record companies, they will send you products to help promote it. So that's why we had those Malcolm X hats, the black hat with the big X on it.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm wearing this hat on the air, and at this time, early '90s, I was also the live remote person, meaning I'm out in the clubs on Friday and Saturday night live doing the show in support of our radio station and our community. But I'm wearing this hat. It's with a big X on it because, of course, I read the autobiography of Malcolm X, as most people have and should do. But while I'm doing this, I'm catching all sorts of flack. I mean, uh, the higher ups, let's say that, do not want their radio personalities to actually reflect the personality of Black people. So when I'm wearing this Malcolm X hat, I'm actually reflecting that. So that created a lot of controversy for me. But I refused to, not wear the hat because it's Malcolm X. So when I met Jack the Rapper, I was in my office doing music calls. Every Monday, the record labels call the radio station and we let them know how the records are doing, either light rotation, medium rotation, or heavy, and if we're going to interview them and support their concert or things like that. So when I met Jack the Rapper, I'm in my office doing music calls, wearing my hat, and I get a call on the intercom that the Godfather of Black radio is coming to the station. He'll be here in 10 minutes. And so I think I got that call because they wanted me not to wear the hat, the Malcolm X hat that I've been wearing for about 2 months that I'm going to keep wearing. And I'm going to wear it when the Godfather shows up in my office. And so I'm wearing my hat. And well, here they come. Jack the Rapper comes through the door with his small entourage of people. And well, he's wearing a Malcolm X hat with a big X on it. We became instant friends because I had been fighting to do this. I'm just a lonely DJ guy. I'm not general manager or anything like that. So I'm really getting flack. But the Godfather walked in and he's wearing the Malcolm X hat. And then I would learn why later, because though they call him Mellow Yellow, as you see, he was a very light-skinned Black man, fair complected, that type thing. But he was Black, pro-Black. Jack the Rapper, Mr. Mellow Yellow, was pro-Black. In fact, he would get upset the fact that Black radio often would be playing songs that are not by Black people, even though Black people couldn't get their songs played on radio stations operated by white people. So, and he conveyed that to me, and he was right. So we took better care of the music we were rotating. Not that we don't play white artists on Black radio. What I'm saying is it must be Black music. It must be correct. It must be like Tina Marie came correct, like the Average White Band came correct, like Hall and Oates came correct, like so many people, but it has to fit the context of what we are doing as Black people. It has to be encouraging, and it has to be about love and power, and that's what Jack the Rapper was about. And I can only assume, because I didn't know, that would also be true of what's called the original 13 committee, that they were also that way as they were trying to unify themselves and unify our music. And as we see today, they were not successful in doing that. And I know we have 2 hours, so we have lots of time to talk, but I really should get to this in case something happens, because as we see people mumbling on the mic, as we see songs being recorded about degrading women, bitches and hoe, I'm gonna say it. As we see that, that's no accident. And it was coming through the industry a long time ago, at least when I was seeing it in the 80s. But let me go to, I think it was 1994. And here it was the Jack the Rapper convention. It's called the Family Affair. And rightly so, because Jack the Rapper and the people in the industry saw themselves as a family. It's a real family. It's artists and people who want to do music, but it's a family. And in 1994, the Jack the Rapper Family Affair took place in Atlanta, at a hotel in Atlanta. And it was at this event that I believe that's when corporate radio actually held a coup and actually took over black radio, black music, hip hop, and that type of thing as we were presented at that time. And what happened was I was in the hotel, just walking around as we do at the convention, talking. DJs are talking to DJs and different radio personalities and program directors and music directors and artists, just everybody's there, and we're milling about just talking to each other. Uh, and, uh, and there was a, but the artists were coming. These are young artists who had never had any money before, and the record company was throwing money at them if they're making songs about if they're willing to call themselves a nigga, basically, and disrespect black women and our culture. The record companies were tossing money at these young guys, so they kept making those songs. And when they came to the convention, what we had was people who are talented, actually absolutely talented, but were not absolutely understand the business of black radio and black music. So what we had was people from this city in one corner, people from another city in that corner, and people from another city in that corner, and all have brought their entourage with them. So things began to conflict. These people had a lot of money from these record companies, and they were hyped about it, and it was ridiculous. So about 4:15, Tupac Shakur had agreed to perform. So we went to it was a suite, and we're watching Tupac sing "Dear Mama." It was beautiful. Keep your head up. It was beautiful. We were all gathered there, small, about 40 of us in a room doing this. And so when I came out of that, and I'm milling about the hotel, and walking about talking to people, a scuffle broke out. It was a large fight inside the hotel. People throwing chairs and that type thing. And that's what was going on. Like it was a street brawl inside of a hotel during the Black Radio Convention. I believe that was an absolute setup. But the thing, and it hurt the Godfather Jack the Rapper much. When I heard about it, it must have been about 6:30, and people were saying, hey, there's a big fight and blah, 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 this is going on. And the Godfather wants to see you. And I'm thinking the Godfather wants to see me. Okay, so someone gave me his room number, suite number. So I go up there and I go in, and there's Jack the Rapper. There's several members of the Main Ingredient and a couple other groups or people that, if I recall their names, we'd say, well, yeah, they were there because they were having a discussion. There was this big fight. It had just happened, and they were really upset about it. And I was in my early 30s at the time, and I think they must have been in their 60s, and they must have been compelled to start sharing things because they started telling me things about how Black radio and Black music has been and how they've been working so hard to get us to come together and put the money into our families, into our community, and just to make it right. And the fact that this thing that just happened in a hotel, it's really absolutely destroyed all that. The man has struggled to put $1 million bond on a hotel just in case something happened. And that couldn't be easy for a poor man. So I'm talking to them, and he's telling me about what happened and how it hurt them. And there has to be something that we can do because our music is getting way out of hand. It's just terrible. So we talked for about an hour or so, and I left out of there actually hurt about that. In fact, I have a picture of me and the OJs in front of the radio station, and we were actually talking about that type scenario. So they're standing smiling, but I'm not smiling. I'm just kind of looking down because I just experienced that and talked to Jack the Rapper and know that there's much work that we need to do in the business of Black radio and Black music. And that is the point that we are at today. Uh, and so, and there's a way to do that. I'm going to go on and say that if we notice our music, there is this word in our music called hoe that we have embraced in our songs. She's a hoe. That's a hoe. This word hoe is really, 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 really been bombarding in us after about 1985. And that's really and that's terrible. When actually, what Ho really is a city in Ghana full of beautiful people. And when I went to the city of Ho, and I looked around for 3 days, I found not one Ho. And that's what needs to be in our music, as opposed to what's been infused by, like you were saying, like the oppressor class has set that up for these young artists to call themselves others hoes. So we need to reconstrict that and teach in our songs, in our music, what a hoe really is. And it's a beautiful city in the Volta region of Ghana. And has nothing to do with disrespect and degrading women. But as long as the corporations control the radio, control the songs that we record, we will continue to hear degrading music and things of that nature. But I think to, we have to get together. You know, just like you were saying, UNIA ACL RC 2020, it's the third reconciliation of African people. And it's wonderful. We are headed to redemption, and we should be. And our ancestors deserve that we go, and we are. But what we have not done, we have not reconciled our music. We have allowed our music to be taken over, we've taken the blackness out of black music, and we've got to get it back. So Jack the Rapper, there has not been a family reunion of black radio, black music since, I want to say, that event at the hotel in Atlanta in 1994. Now get this, since that time, several people have tried to hold a Jack the Rapper family affair, because for us, Jack the Rapper, he's our godfather. It's very, very important. So of course, those who want to make money off of him, and it passed about 2000, they have tried to hold a reunion and call it the Jack the Rapper family affair. Now, if you check your records, whenever they do this, they get sued by the family, and they should be, because the fact is, there's no one on this planet, on this earth, in the business of music, radio, recording, entertainment that can call a family reunion, a Jack the Rapper family affair. And there's only one person that can do that. And it hasn't been done yet. That has not been called until now, because the Jack the Rapper family reunion, the family affair, should be held in 2025 in the city of Ho, Ghana, where we will DJ from that position, and the rhythm and the beat will invigorate and enlighten people. That is the power of black music, and the ability to DJ and articulate our world, our lives. There's a soundtrack to this. There's an absolute soundtrack to this, which we intend to DJ from the city of Ho, flip the entire script right back to where it needs to be, which is right in line with self. And I believe that is exactly what Jack the Rapper wanted, hoped that we could begin to do. And these people, of course, they passed away, and they never see it in their lifetime. But we're here. Garvey lives. There's a soundtrack to this. We can play it and we can say it. And it's time to do this, sir. It's time to call a family affair, a reunion. And that's where we are.
Okay, how do you do that without getting sued?
Well, the reason why I can do that without getting sued is because if I'm authorized by Jack to call the family reunion. I haven't done it yet. See?
Okay.
Let me show you. Let me show you why. Because okay, this is why. Okay, this is the last Black Radio Grammy, and I hope you can read it. There's a lot of glare, maybe not. I can read it to you.
Yeah, it's kind of glary, but I'm seeing the thing.
But that's what this is. It's yellow because Mellow Yellow, Jack the Rapper, but it's the black. Yeah, but it's the last Black Radio Grammy. Now, when they handed it to me on stage at the awards ceremony in Atlanta, it wasn't just Jack the Rapper handing it to me. It was Berry Gordy. It was Atlanta Mayor Maynard Jackson, may he rest in paradise, and it was Tony Brown of Tony Brown's Journal. See, the thing is that should show us how important the legacy of Jack the Rapper is and how it affects everybody in a positive way if we remember him, his colleagues, and use their experiences and their love for Black music and the family if we use it correctly, we can heal ourselves. We can go a long way in elevating ourselves right now, and that's what needs to be done. It's called the O.C. White Award, and what's interesting is because we don't know who O.C. White is. Now, he must have been one of the original 13. But what this does is it gives us room to study. We need to study Jack the Rapper. We need to study Black music. We need to study Black radio. And we need to make the corrections necessary. The music is our magic. And if we can use it, which we should, it will do great things.
Yes, sir. Well, you know, you mentioned something, and it stuck with me that Jack the Rapper, was he the first owner of Black radio? Is that what you're saying? Of a Black radio station?
Yeah. Now, if we look at it, if you study it, either his name's going to come up or someone else's name is going to come up. But I'm pretty sure Jack the Rapper was the first Black man to own a radio station, and it was WERD in Atlanta.
Yeah. I don't know what year that would be, but because you know I was in New York, and WWRL, that was owned by who? His name is gone out of my head. He owned he was a businessman, and shucks, man,
Yeah.
I don't recall his
I'm
name.
not
But he had owned
confirming
a radio station in
something
New
we need to
York,
look into.
huh?
I said, I'm
And
not.
that was going back to the 60s, you know.
Yeah.
I have a question and comment too.
Okay.
I had my hand up for a while.
Oh, I didn't see it. You're in the dark, bro.
The hand is brown. So, but you know, appreciating all that's been said, and I was aware of Jack the Rapper, but I was aware of a lot of other DJs and a lot of other powerful people in the radio industry, such as Nighthawk here in Washington, D.C., who was mysteriously moved on in a lot of ways. Also, Randy Dennis, who was a very good friend of mine, who was very powerful in radio. And then also Melvin Lindsay, who came with the Quiet Storm, and then Frankie Crocker, who was the rocker in New York. These are powerful people. And the same time you're talking about Jack the Rapper, all of these people were very influential in the radio business. And I was told by several of them, particularly Randy Dennis, about payola, because what payola did was when the corporations came into wherever you was hearing Black music and people were listening, payola came in, and there was a list that, you know, you had to play these particular songs, and there's certain songs you could not play, and if you did, you would be put off the airways. And there were certain people in personality that bucked that. Kathy Hughes was the owner of a radio station and still is, and she was one of the first. And there's a ton of people like Petey Green that I could mention. And the reason I'm mentioning these names is because you gave some great history about Jack the Rapper, and you mentioned 13. I don't know who all those 13 were, but I do know in the area that I grew up in, and like Baba Moses said, even back to the 60s, there were tremendous people in radio and were fighting to get not only the music played, but voice. Petey Green, for an example. And there's a movie out on Petey Green that talks a little bit about that, and talks also about Kathy Hughes' husband. And Kathy Hughes' husband was a great promoter, and they split up, and Kathy Hughes continued to do the radio station. Randy Dennis and a lot of these names I mentioned came from major radio stations like WHUR and et cetera. But the question I had for you, because the timeline that you mentioned in terms of Jack the Rapper is very important, because even before that time period, there was not anybody, I mean, there was just no voice. And from what I heard of Jack the Rapper, he was a great voiceover person. I mean, he knew not only what to play, he was very familiar with all the artists, and he knew what to say. You know, because now we got talk radio. We also have radio that, you know, we have DJs, and we have a lot of talk radio, like, you know, particularly the network WPFW. So my question to you is that I know Payola was definitely instrumental in breaking the backs of strong message-oriented Black music on radio. In addition to that, though, so my question to you is the timeline. when you say he was the owner, he was one of the founders, what was the particular timeline on that? Because a lot of people struggled all during his time at getting to a point of owning radio. And that's so important to what you said, that he was one of the first. So that's my question, the timeline, because I don't know much about ownership, but I do know a lot of the personalities that I grew up listening to and hearing on the airways actually worked for corporations.
Mhm. Well, I'm not sure of the exact timeline, and because actually, there's a couple of books on it that we should try to read. One is called "The Death of Rhythm and Blues" by Nelson George, and that talks about it in detail. And there's also a new book called "Mellow Yellow: The Life of Jack the Rapper," and it talks about it in there. So, but I think it may be, I'm not sure, but I think it may be a question of them working together at that time, trying to come up with a black owned radio station. So, it may not have been just him, or, but it's something that we definitely need to look at and to understand what they were trying to put together for us. And so we can continue that legacy and make sure we are doing things correct to the best of our ability to represent our communities to the best of our ability. That's something we need to look at, sir, and take a good understanding. I'm just speaking extemporaneously. So, I'm not trying to really come up with details per se. I just think that we need to talk about Jack the Rapper. We talk about black radio and black music. In fact, and you mentioned Frankie Crocker, and we talk about payola, but you mentioned Frankie Crocker, and I believe he was the one that came up with what we know today as R&B or yeah, rhythm and blues on the radio, because before then it was known as race music. So these are, and he did a great job. It's a marketing tool to promote the music and to promote the station. It's a very good thing. In terms of payola, which is, and for those who may not know, that is basically when someone pays the DJ to play their record. Meaning you're going to pull one record out to play another record because the person is paying you to do so. And if you do that, you're not spending music based on the quality of the record. You're doing it based on somebody slipping you $50. And that is a major, major, major issue. In fact, I mean, it's a major issue. And like Baba Singer was saying, if you don't play, you're not going to be on the air very long. I give you 30 days max. If you don't say what they want you to say or play what they want you to play, you are not going to be on the radio. And I can say that about small, medium, and major market radio stations. In terms of payola, of course, okay, I'm the music director at my radio station in the entertainment capital of the world, but my radio personality was developed by the community, not the corporations. So I'm not going to play your song because you're trying to pay me. You can forget about it. I'm going to play your song if it's relevant to what we're doing in black radio and black music for our community. But it can get so bad that I've gotten a phone call from a certain artist, people, and this is the phone call. Yeah, blah 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 blah. Yeah. Well, if you don't play our record, and this is a quote, if you don't play our record, there's going to be some gangster. Now, that's what this person tells me. Okay. So what I do is, and again, we're talking about payola and the pressure to play records on the radio. So what I did was kindly said to the gentleman, okay, this is already some gangster shit. So I hung up, called the artist at his house, told the artist, if your record company people are playing your records, not only am I not going to play your record, none of our DJs are going to play your records, and we're pulling your whole catalog off the radio, period. So, of course, the record company, they don't know that we're a family. And call the artist at home. So I call the artist. So I get a phone call 10 minutes later, an apology from the record label, which first, so anyway, that's what happened. And that's absolutely ridiculous. So there's only a matter of time. You can't sit in that position as a music director on the black radio during the takeover of black music. It was really, at that time, we're talking the early 90s, it was really, really, really gangster, which I'm sure it is now. That's the way it was. And I think, and I'm probably going this way and that way, but what I'm saying is, and more. There's more to it. When we need to talk about James Brown too. When Gil Scott Heron came out with the song "The Revolution Will Not Be Televised," and we're all listening to it, and we're all understanding it, and we're all grooving to it. But at the same time, the revolution will not be televised, but it's on the radio every day. If we pay attention through the years, we can hear it. Personalities coming and going based on things they are saying or not saying or trying to say. Songs coming in and out. Top 40 being, no, top 100. Billboard's top 100 being manipulated to sell product. It's amazing. In fact, and yeah, I'm blabbing. That song, and right after the corporate takeover at the Jack the Rapper convention, not long after that, I did notice the #1 song in the nation was, according to Billboard magazine, was from a guy with a Smokey the Bear hat on, singing about how happy he is. You know, which a very good song. But I know better songs being made down the street. I know better songs by artists in every town, in every city in the world than that. But that was being billed as the #1 song in America. Yeah. No, that was a song pushed by the corporations to be #1 because they're setting us up to sell us other stuff or other music that's not really our music and that's not really that good. And that's what we're seeing or being exposed to now. So if you do not play, if you do not accept payola, if you do not get in bed with the oppressor, and if you think you're going to be on the radio spinning music and providing the people what they need, that station had better be owned and paid for by people who really care about the community, Black people. If not, you're not going to, no, you're going to rotate the same 30 songs. In fact, I worked at radio stations where I played the same song 4 times in a radio show. And that's ridiculous, but that's the corporations. And that's what they're doing. So.
Yeah. That's the sad part of radio. But I recall there was another thing where it's AM and FM when this his name almost came to me there. This New York radio station I'm talking about. This brother who had an AM and FM radio station. The FM is where he played rhythm and blues, and the AM is where he had like a talk radio thing, like what Kathy Hughes is doing right here in Washington, D.C.
Radio One.
With Radio One. And I think this brother, I think he became the mayor or he ran for mayor of New York City at one time. But he was a very powerful man in politics. He knew a lot of people and all that stuff. And Frankie Crocker was at his radio station. And going back then, what I'm trying to say is he owned this radio station. And this was like in the late 60s, early 70s. And since then, so this is why I think Robert Senghor is asking about the timeline thing. But I'm not with it, but I'm saying what was happening was that there was mainly white-owned radio stations and with black DJs, and they had to play what management wanted. Is that what was going on, man? Because you had several radio stations that was playing R&B and other things. But like you say, there was a whole lot of beautiful R&B music playing in New York, and there was one radio station that those of us who were consciously black and loved our R&B, we didn't listen to anything else.
We listen to one station. That's just how we do. One station. If it reflects us, yeah. No matter what city you go to, if they have a black radio station, if you move to a different location, the first thing you're going to do is look for the radio station. Because that's going to tell you the flavor and how the community is functioning and the flow and everything. And that's how important it is. So when they take that away from us, it's like, okay, I'm in Ohio. Okay, we have we used to have WVKO, which produced he's a well-known speaker today, Les Brown. But when I was growing up, Les Brown was just one of the radio personalities in Columbus, Ohio. But he was so good. He kept us going to school. He would say things like, well, go to school. And we would go to school and talk about it. Why should you go to school? Oh, Les Brown's on the radio saying we should go to school. So we go to school every day because the guy on the radio said so. And the music was beautiful. And back then, I'm talking the 70s, back then, we all listened to the same station and the same music. The kids, the children listen to the same music as the adults. We're all listening to the Spinners. We're all listening to the same music. We're all it's a family. And yeah, and without that, it kind of hurts us. It hurts us because it's so magical for us. So we need to protect our music. It's Black music, loved all over the world, but it's Black music. We should call it Black music. We should play it like it's Black music. We should love it like it's Black music, because that's what it is.
Okay. I want to go back to, it's something that it's so foggy in my mind about these radio stations, and I can only report to really New York City. I've heard some in Atlanta and I've heard some elsewhere. But whenever I would go somewhere, anywhere, the radio stations used to be at the far end of the dial.
Yeah, far left, the left side, right?
But yeah, way over. That's why the radio station was 107.5 in New York, FM. It's like that was the kind of thing that was going on. It was always at the far end.
Well, that would
all right.
107 would have to be a commercial radio station. 107, say 107.5 FM, that would be a commercial radio station.
Yeah.
Also in the FM frequency, if you go down, start about 88.1 to about 90, you're going to get the non-commercial radio stations.
Okay. So that's where that's
where we are
So
a lot.
So if I might add, y'all really stumbled on something, Baba Moses, just now. What you just said was so important. FM, AM, but also in the 90s, there were underground radio stations that were not licensed, that did a lot of what we wanted. It was done by Black people, a lot of underground stations. Some of them are gone now, but now we have internet radio.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a lot of Black, not just DJs, but Black talk show hosts all over. In fact, when we in San Diego, our sister, Makeda, has a radio show. And I'm just using her as an example of today. And then we did a simulcast with an international internet radio network. So what I'm saying to you, Brother Tashaka, is that the alternative seems to be, in order to own and control, rather than to get the AM, FM, it seems to be going internet. I mean, because you can get internet radio, just like Harambe did some time ago with TV. We had television, but we did radio. Harambe Radio was an internet radio network. Brother Kidi, the Conscious Rasta, was one of the first that did internet radio. Still doing it today. And then you had Inner Light. Those three major groups were all owned by Black people. That internet radio, okay? And we played and did what we wanted to do. In fact, Delani Amon paid money so that he could play certain old R&B hits that would not get sued. Delani did that with Harambe. And I say that to say that the alternative, especially when you were talking about the geographical location Ho in Ghana, and having a base, internet radio has more, we have more ability to control internet radio than we do FM, AM. And that's something very important I wanted to bring out and do it legally. And then because people are doing it already. There's a Garvey internet TV and radio network that goes global. There's quite a few things out there. So rather than us reinvent the wheel, what I hear you saying is we need to turn the wheel up and educate people on how radio that motivated us, we grew up on, like, and personalities like my brother that you're speaking about are known, so that we can emulate that kind of work going forward. And I say that because right now we on the internet and we could be playing music, we could be doing internet music, but of course have groups that are no longer going through the wrecking industry and all caught up in payola. You have independent artists, and so we need independent broadcasters, independent producers, and independent radio personalities to look at the internet. I just wanted to throw that out there because Baba Mosa, you touched on it when you said how far you got to go down the dial. Oh, do I remember those days, bro? You had to search for the right station.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'll stop on that point. Y'all got my drift.
You go anywhere that you haven't been before, don't even worry about going the center and all that. So you go to the far left and looking for a radio station.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was very important what Bob Sengor just said, because although the history of Black radio, and yeah, I'm trying to let people know about the Godfather because he should be remembered. Him and his colleagues absolutely should be remembered. But like Singo Baya was saying, but okay, let's remember all the things that happened to us. Jack the Rapper, and I can tell you all sorts of stories, whatever. But the thing is, it would be great to integrate our history, which is part of our culture, into our contemporary functioning, which is internet radio, which is, what he just said, which is internet radio. So we can bring our legacy through the internet radio as we teach about the history of Black music and what it's like to operate behind the microphone. And I think we can use the internet or internet radio. You can pick one. I mean, whatever one that you gentlemen think is one which is appropriate to align itself with Jack the Rapper, because it can't just be any old station or any old body. It's Jack
I
the
just
Rapper.
want to reiterate, we could create our own too, bro. We don't have to just go with what's out there. We can actually create our own network. I just wanted to throw that in there to you.
Well, I would think
it could be called the legacy of Jack the Rapper.
Exactly. See, I mean, but the gentleman I'm talking to, okay, there's only a few of us here, right? But we also control the legacy of Jack the Rapper right here. If it's something we want to design based on what we say is best needed for Black music and Black people, we have the ability to do that in the authorization from Jack the Rapper, from the family, from the community that created me. They're all waiting for us. They're all in line. They're all agreeable. So we can do whatever we will. We can accomplish what we will. And let's do our best to accomplish what we will pertaining to Black radio and the legacy of it, and use it in contemporary form, which, of course, through our Constitution, there's a soundtrack to this. There's a soundtrack to freedom. And the DJ is Jack the Rapper. That's a fact. And everyone, if we look at it, it's a fact. When James Brown produced The Big Payback, it wasn't just a song. It was not just a song. No. It was a mandate. The Big Payback is a mandate from the Godfather of Soul, which we intend to put that into full effect when we are in the city of Hope. It's just that real. They couldn't tell us everything through songs and stuff because, we're not really controlling the media. But the people who came before us infused enough into the music that we can use that. It's right there for us. There's a soundtrack. It's right there. All we have to do is play it. And like Singo Bayi said, say it. Talk about the legacy.
To shock, I'm sorry, Baba Mosa, but
yeah, go ahead. I'll go on all day.
You mentioned Ghana several times, and I know you are an ambassador of the UNIA RC 2020, and you are one of the founding members of the Black Star Division in Ghana. So when you speak Ghana, I want you to let the listeners know, not us, we know, why you keep on representing Ghana, because you took me to Ghana in 2017, bro. And not only did you take me there, I saw a lot there. And I know you were going back based on a 9-year or something like that, 7-year mission to hook back up with some of the brothers. So I just give a taste to people so people can understand the context of you talking about this place in Ghana called Ho, where you want to have a base for doing something around educating people on Jack the Rapper and a lot of the history about radio and importance of positive music, because I heard all of that in your presentation.
Well, the reason why I figure Ghana is based on what Jack the Rapper and what the elders were saying, in the fact that, do I think there's something that can be done? or something I can do. I mean, to them, I'm a young personality coming up, and and they were trying to infuse something. But the reason why I chose Ghana is the fact, and listening to Jack the Rapper, and all the things that they had to go through, the community in 1950s and the 60s with being hosed down and all that type of thing, and all the struggle we went through in the 1960s. The reason why I chose Ghana was because in talking to Jack the Rapper, like I said, he was a mellow yellow individual, but he was pro-black. And when you think about being pro-black, well, we have to think about, well, where does that come from? That type of thinking. Well, that type of level of thinking, to where he wanted to organize black music and black people, comes from an understanding of the philosophy and opinions of Marcus Garvey. If we understand the philosophy and opinions of Garvey, then we know that Kwame Nkrumah created a whole nation, a sovereign, a republic based on the philosophy and opinions of Marcus Garvey. So it all correlates from America, which we came from Africa, but our pain and our oppression has produced this soul music, this music that we need to take back to Africa. And Ho is the spot, given how we have perpetrated that word in our music and it's disrespecting ourselves and our women. So I chose Ho as the city to where we're going to DJ at a very high level and perform and whatnot to the glory of our people and remembrance of those who came before us. Now, of course, we're going to invite all artists, but we're not going to accept any old artists. Well, if you know Jack, then there's no sense in, I don't care, it doesn't matter how rich and famous we are, how many CDs we're selling, how many times you see us on television. If we don't know the history of Jack the Rapper, history of our music, then we don't really want you on our stage, because we can't really have that anymore. We need people to understand black music, black people, and love us. And they're out there, and we need to support them. And those are the ones that we are inviting, or that we will invite to the Jack the Rapper family affair. So you may see some high level celebrity people, and that's great, or you may not. But what you're going to see is the family come together in the city of Hope under the legacy of Jack the Rapper. And I'm thinking, and hopefully, because we did mention and I did mention the reconciliation of black music, but we're involved in the reconciliation of African people all over the world. Perhaps if we schedule the Jack the Rapper family affair for 2025, we may even get the President General to come visit, or a parent body member. That would be outstanding for us over in Ghana, and it reaffirms our love of black music and black people all over the earth. So, and that's why I chose the city of Ho, because when our people go there and see us perform and do our thing, they're not going to see any hoes. And our little girls, little boys need to know that. They absolutely need to know that. And we need to correct our music. The hoe, the bitch, and the nigga out of our music, period. We're working with artists in Ghana right now. That is what I'm saying. Because I'm not going to promote, play, or involve myself in the legacy of Jack the Rapper with music that's disrespectful to black people. We're just not going to do it. So that's why the city of Hope is important. And I've been there. I've been to the radio stations. I've been on the radio station, 98. They call it 98.1. Here we call it like 98.1. But in Ghana, and it's 98.1 in the city of Hope. And that's where black music is headed. For that reason.
My brother, I appreciate your mission and what you intend to do, and it goes back to how you feel about where music has gone, not where it's going, but where it has gone already. And I'm not surprised, because when Berry Gordy and all these people had to sell out their business, going to this, the corporations are relentless when it comes to pressuring you when they see you have something that is making good money.
Yep.
I mean, they'll come after you.
Yes.
So
hip hop. Look at hip hop.
Yeah. The fact that with hip hop and all that nobody thought it would go anywhere. I mean, let's face it. I mean, the Sugar Hill Gang and all those people that are coming out of New York. I mean, these guys were not what was going on now. I mean, let's say they might be using some language that we don't appreciate, but it just wasn't going. It just was not that. I mean, how did we get to this position where you know, the message is coming to our young people out of radio and what is supposed to be songs, which is, I mean, it's rapping, and how is it that these guys feel good about doing this? I mean, let me tell you, I was in this I was in the car with my daughter and driving, and I didn't want to tell her to change the radio station because you know she was driving on the highway, and she's the driver, and so I didn't want to tell her, listen, I don't need to hear all that, you know. But the stuff that was coming from this radio station, song after song, and you were saying about repeating every 8 songs, it's coming back again. I said, did we just hear that? And it's, I mean, the language was, I mean, my thing is, not only is it disrespectful, but this is the language young people are hearing all the time. It's getting to that point where they can't speak anymore without using this kind of language. Which means they can't even, if you have to write something, they may not even be able to write something. And the fact is, these words have no meaning other than, you know, they're they're bad words. And I guess it's going through, I mean, it's just going over their head as to what it is. I mean, maybe it's just a word without a meaning. And so what's being said, it doesn't bother them. So that is why when bitch and hoe and all that stuff is being used, maybe it's just a word that is meaningless. And it does not affect them the way it affects us. Because, you know, we were told that you don't use language like that. It's, to me, I told my children, you know, the reason why you shouldn't use language like that is because you know, your eloquence, you know, is definitely going to be hurt. Because if you can't have a conversation without injecting these words, it means you've lost your vocabulary of the English language.
Yes.
And you use these words as substitutes. And the more you do that, the more you lose your vocabulary. You lost your sense of what's an adjective. Adjectives, they don't know what adjectives are anymore. They just plug these things in. So that's, in a sense, you have children saying these things to their mother, their parents. And again, this weekend, I heard parents using these words in front of their children. And guess
Yeah.
what? This was at an affair for children. I mean, it was unbelievable. It's like, are we in a different world? This generational thing is, am I so far behind that I can't understand that these words mean nothing? But they bother me because it's not, they're senseless is my point. What's the sense of using these words? How are you describing something? I mean, but it's coming through the radio station. It's coming through music, not just, I mean, these music, it's being fed or
Yep.
streamed or anything
Yep.
else you want to call about how it's being disseminated. And they're just picking it up and reusing it, losing their vocabulary. But my thing is that um, we know the meaning, we know what these words, they're shock words, so to speak. They're used to shock people. It was first started in the business as shock against I guess the authorities, those who are in charge, those who would say that these are indecent words, and you know, I'll use it because I want to shock you. But it's gone past that now, as far as I'm concerned. It's gone. It's gone to the point where I think it's wrecking our minds. It's destroying
I think
our
you're right,
minds.
sir.
And for me, I think not only is it, there's a subliminal playing going on where if you're not hearing it, or I'm saying you're hearing it, if it's not registering right away, oh, what is that? Why is he saying that? It means anything else can come at you and it's registering and you don't know it. Like the messages that come at you about shooting, the craziness that's going on now. Why are our young people getting out there using this weaponry against ourselves as if it doesn't matter? So when you're talking about Jack the Rapper and his type of radio, are you saying that that's where we need to go, in a sense that, you know, we need to play songs that have words with meaning, and things that can register us in a positive sense?
Yeah. Yeah, I am saying that because, yeah, yeah, and in contemporary time, because if it ain't conscious, it ain't really hip hop. It's just some fool rapping.
Yeah.
And there's a huge difference. You know, there's a huge. So, okay, in the early '90s, black radio was trying to infuse, was taking care of conscious music, trying to put it in rotation, making it part of our lives in various cities. And that's why we had songs of groups like X-Clan, Public Enemy, who were giving us in the industry a chance to play the music, to really reach the people, to uplift them. But when you're doing that, you're also being attacked by the record companies who are pressuring the management because the radio personalities are playing conscious hip, to where we had to day part it. It's called day parting. We take a certain type of music and use it specifically for a certain day part. To day part hip hop or conscious hip hop to late night Friday versus Wednesday afternoon, because it's conscious. And the record labels really did not like that, and really came at us. In fact, in Las Vegas in 1994, the community wrote a song. We wrote a song, recorded the song in the station, the local radio station, played the song on the radio, and it became the #1 song in Las Vegas in the summer of 1995. We used it as the theme song for the morning show. Now, we know we can use, it was hip hop. Okay. We know we can use this for our people, but what the record companies wanted me to do was record for them. Now, if I can record a song, a hip hop song that's #1 in a city, of course we can, you know, work with the record labels and produce a #1 song in all the cities. However, to do that, I would basically have to sell my soul. And I'm not be absolutely disrespectful to the community who wrote the song and allowed us to perform the song. So it becomes a question of the artist or the entertainer, whether they're going to, it's a catch-22 for them because they're trying to make a living also. But it becomes a matter of, you have to make a decision. Am I going to become rich and famous and or me? Am I going to be the #1 DJ in America and be rich and famous and everybody knows my name and I'm already hanging out with all the other DJs, you know, me and Donnie Simpson are friends, you know. But so it's not a question of getting paid by the corporations, by being rich and famous. It's more of a question of protecting Black music and Black people, Black consciousness. That's more important. And for those of us who are like that, we will not last on the radio very long, and we can count the numbers. We just count the numbers. But Black radio is very personable. The reason why I remember Les Brown and Kurt Bishop and people from when I was a kid is because radio, our personalities are so close to the people. We are the music and the personalities. We are together. We're just together, and it's very, very It's very important. And yeah, I lost my train of, but the subject matter is important.
Yes, my brother, I agree.
You touched on,
I have someone whose hand is up. Sister Martha.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very interesting conversation. And as an older person, it just bothers me to see the state of our children, our young folks now, and so much of it has to do with the rap music, the negative rap. I like rap, but the negative gangster rap. Does anybody remember? I think it was in the '80s when C. Dolores Tucker was trying to pressure the rappers into stop playing the gangster
yes,
rap, and she got threats against her life. Y'all remember
yes,
that?
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh
I
she
yeah.
had to
do.
stop.
Oh, imagine, see Dolores Tucker.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I'm wondering, it a lot of these DJs, they're just playing the gangster rap. This is when it first started. They didn't, they didn't try to do something about it. Say, look, I refuse to play that on the radio. I'm not going to play it. Why didn't they do that? But it's all about the money.
Mm.
So that's very bothersome. And you go in the store and our young folks, I ask a question, chewing gum, pants down below the waist, hair all over their head, and just oh gosh. But we're talking about, but what are we going to do about it? What can we do in our own little small corner of the world to help our young folks? Because God knows they need help. You know, that's just my 2 cents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead, Shaka. You were going to respond to
See,
that. Oh.
yes, sir. Miss Peterson is correct. And if you, I mean, it's see, okay. Not long ago, you could call a radio station and get your song played, and know you're talking to the radio personality, because that's how close we are. We are. So, and in order to take over black music, black radio, the corporations had to separate the DJ from you. So this lady, she's not really hearing the music and the DJs, no matter what city she's in, that is reflecting her personality, that of her children, her family. It was a basic complete takeover of black radio and black music. And she said, what can we do about it? And that's the big question. And the only thing I can come up with is that we get proactive, that we reclaim our music, that we reconcile our music, that we take our music seriously, and that we refuse to record certain songs. And she mentioned that the DJs wouldn't, they played the nasty hip hop, they played the stuff. But the thing is, if you're working in the industry, you have to play it, or you're not going to work in the industry. And when they get rid of you, and they will, they're going to replace that black man, that black woman radio personality with white man or white woman who don't care about us at all, and are going to play that stuff because they're just making money pimping us. So there have been many radio people who have been trying, and artists who've been fighting and trying. If we pay attention to some things that Chaka Khan has been saying, Anita Baker has been telling us, Stevie Wonder has been telling us, Smokey has been telling us. These people have been telling us how how this industry it has been treating them and has been treating our music, and it's a real battle going on. And I don't think personally, and I don't think I can really do anything from America because it's totally controlled. However, I've been to Africa and I've been to Ghana because I'm looking for how we can actually do this. And over in Ghana, well, it's not corporate controlled radio. So I can go on and really DJ for real. And other people can DJ for real. And we can talk about it for real and play the real music from the motherland and stream it back over to the United States and around the world where it's clean and pure and right. And you're going to love it because black radio is the best radio that there is in the world. And our personalities are the best. I remember all the personalities that I've known. Just turn my radio on, listening to Essence West in 1981 in Las Vegas. But that was 1981, and she's still here. I still hear what she was playing, what she was saying, and that can be true of any city where we are, where we have black radio on the air being played. So there is something we can do about it. And I think right now is the beginning point for us doing something about it, which I really wanted to talk about Jack the Rapper and black music. And I'm not scared of these people, and they can't sue me. So good
Mhm.
luck with that. So
Mhm.
Mosley?
Hello?
Papa Mosley?
Yes.
As an engineer, I have about 40 years experience in information theory.
Mhm.
And one of the things I come across is that the spoken word, the images, they all have a frequency pattern. And we have to understand is that the stories that's told through rap or through all forms of entertainment, it creates the holographic images in the mind.
Ah,
Also, there is an energy pattern between the words that are used. There's a frequency effect in the spirit and the mind. So when you think about the conscious rappers, they were actually it's almost like a spiritual transmission information and one that is being created. That's why when they went to digital music, when it was playing original music on the records with the diamond needle, the diamond needle had caused the melon to vibrate. We went to digital. There's no organic modulation of the molecules in the nervous system. So it's very important that we use our culture to establish some type of spiritual connection with the images that's being transmitted since the rappers are the current griots.
mm.
And they should have some type of social responsibility because there's a psychic and a spiritual component to that as well.
Wow. Are you saying, my brother, that it's playing from vinyl is less effective or gives a spiritual or a different image? The imagery coming to the subconscious is like different from if it's digital. Digital, they can manipulate it to give you images that would you know, let's say, give you negative messages.
Well, it's a lot easier to put information that's encoded because you have to realize is that if it's analog, it also depends upon the record industry because they
Mm.
might change the frequency of the music. That's why we had the original groups, they had the original instruments that was national,
Ah,
and then also with the voices. Sometimes a lot of these new singers they don't have the musical training, and sometimes the voice has to be modified post post production before it's released, and that's how they can embed negative energies. Because it's not talked about even with the digital headphones, just by changing the bass note, the differences between a bass note or a note, each emotion has a particular frequency, and with the separation of the notes, just by even modulating from the left and right audio channels, you can evoke certain energies.
oh man.
It's powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
Boy.
I have suspected for a long time because I know, um, I mean, when I was in college, you know, we had a lot of discussions about what was coming through the movies. When you go to the movie house, the subliminal messages coming to you, it was to make you buy stuff, you know, Coca-Cola and Pepsi and all, you know, that's what they were doing. So they could also do other things to you in order to soften your mind as a black person so you could, the imagery you would get as who you are will be quite different from who you should be or whatever that was. But it was done through the cinema, cinematographically. But somebody, um, somebody dealt a blow to them with that, and this was against the corporate advertising, and so they were sued, and they stopped it. I'm not sure what they're using now, but I think what they use now is that the corporations have to pay the people who are making the movies to use their products in the movies. Like you know, you would see the movie actors using a Pepsi or a Coke, and you know, or the corporation would say, if you use my Pepsi and Coke, you have to pay me, and different ways that they do this in the corporate way of dealing with that kind of business. But I am not sure what they're doing now. I mean, but with technology being what it is today, oh my God. And when I'm seeing our young people behaving the way they're behaving, I mean, you have to be strong to resist this kind of stuff mentally. You know, let's face it. I mean, I don't know how many last night, how many shootings I heard, and I'm saying, what is going on?
Um,
Yeah.
Shaka, can you talk about the current trend in the rap music about gangster rap and how it manipulates the listener's emotional temperament?
Yeah. And and I, and I recall Chuck D breaking that down in 1993 about that. Uh, that music, words we say, and as you said, and the rhythm of the music and the man, the timbre, all of that plays a part on our psyche, all of it. Now these record labels know this. They have psychiatrists and mental health experts to tell them how to try to do what they want to do, which is exploit us. But at those behind the mic who make a living behind the microphone in radio or records, we already know it's a big fight going on. It's been going on. And if we, it's kind of like this. If we look at society out here, what's going on, if you go to a church or any organization, anything like that, you're going to have what we used to call, when I was growing up, a lot of Uncle Toms, just point blank. In the industry, for whatever reason, you have a whole lot of that. So there's very few people who are going to stand up to the money and to the power, and at the same time keep their job to try to not let this these negative vibrations reach our children. And there are people who have tried, and they keep trying, but we must do better. We must do better. Uh, I remember, and I don't want to bust people out and put them on Front Street, talk about people, that type thing. But I'll just say that you would have to not really care, just want to get paid and be rich, and at the extent of hurting people. And I think that's one reason why I think in that vein was one reason why Tupac was killed. He was killed on Colville Street in Las Vegas. But at that time, what was happening behind the mic and in the industry and on the radio, he was actually taking his hip hop and making an economic base so that other people could get paid. And shortly thereafter, he was no more. And so I'm saying there are people in the industry. It's a fight, it's a war going on, and sometimes we lose people, and that's how serious that it is. Or at least when I was actively engaging the oppressor within the context of media and mass communication, it was, I can tell you doing a radio show with a pistol in my pocket. Now, I don't want to say that or do that. However, that's the way it was. When you're on the radio playing conscious hip hop, you're actually getting attacked. When you get off the air, you're going to get attacked. Before you go on the air, you're going to get attacked either by management or by somebody sent by the corporations. It's just that important, just that powerful for them to put that amount of effort and work and money into controlling it and taking it over and producing such nonsense that we are exposed to today. So to answer your question, I think that you would basically have to sell your soul to be an artist today and make money at it. And I don't think Michael Jackson was willing to do that. And that's one reason why he's not here also. Hang on one second.
Yes,
Sorry.
but in speaking about that, the effect this sort of stuff is having on our younger people, and I'm saying our young, I'm talking about our African children, our African youth, and the kind of gun violence we're getting. Is this happening? The same thing happening among white? I mean, they're listening to the music. I mean, is this happening among white young people? I mean, why is it only affecting us the way it is? I mean, I don't expect you to have that answer, but
Yeah, but I mean, doesn't our melanin account for the fact that we can vibrate closer to the music? So maybe we are experiencing the music more deeply than other people.
mm,
So then, you know, it's going to affect us. It's going to affect us deeply. It's deeply. So maybe I'm just guessing. I'm thinking somewhere in there lies the answer and the correction. So being solution focused, I think we have a chance to correct it. With what the brother was saying, he was so on point. What he was talking about, we need him on our team because we need to do this with black music. We need to reconcile black music for real. And if we can put the right people together who love and care, and want to use their brains together in unity, you know, we can get it done, and we can get it done by kicking off the Jack the Rapper Family Affair in August 2025.
all right. Well, listen, yeah, going back to the family affair, I think in '94 it was, right?
Yeah.
Was was that a downhill sort of after that for black radio because this was corporate corporations trying to bully the music.
I think I believe that's where it culminated at the Jack the Rapper Family Affair, because I saw it, and the fact that Jack the Rapper and his colleagues and they were actively battling these record labels trying to preserve black music and black radio. So I think about 1994 we need to relook at that because I would think that is the point of corporate takeover. Though they were active before that specific point at that Jack the Rapper Family Affair. I think they were waiting for us, and I think they were waiting for us to break us up, to cause disunity among black entertainment. So
Well, let me look and see if anybody's hand is up before I make mention of anything else. Does anybody have any questions for Brother Tashaka right now? Okay. All right. Now, Brother Tashaka, I'm getting the feeling that this is not unlike the kind of you know uh, racist attack on black people when it comes to our struggles for freedom and justice. It's constantly being sabotaged by people who either being paid or maddened by whatever it is these people are doing. Because as soon as you start to seem to be moving in a positive direction, in comes something else that disrupts that positive direction, that trend line that's going positive in social order for us as a people. Something else comes up. I mean, it's like we're not even marking time because I'll tell you, I believe that black people are in a worse situation today, 2022, than they were like in 1968 or 1976. Going back 30 or so years. I mean, we had issues, there was racism and all that stuff, but it seems that I mean, the drugs was there. It was affecting our young people because, I mean, and again, that didn't just come in because we were manufacturing the drugs or importing it or distributing it. It was being distributed to our communities. It was brought to us. We weren't the ones making the money. You see, and I'm looking at this business with the guns and all that stuff as if maybe this thing is coming from a direction where they're deliberately disrupting our community by injecting this kind of gunplay, weaponry,
Um,
and not just with the physical arms themselves, but also with the language these corporations are allowing coming out of radio and other dissemination of music or rap. You know, it's messaging to our people. They can't just come in on and maybe they could, who knows, shoot you down in the street, but they can do something to make you shoot each other.
That's true. That's very true. It's, it's true. And and they know this and they're doing that. I mean, I've sat in meetings with the corporation, right? Where I'm supposed to agree to certain things that there's no way a thinking adult man or woman, and I'm a parent, now I'm a grandparent. I say in a meeting, well, there's no way a thinking adult black person would agree to what they were attempting to get you to agree to. So absurd and ridiculous. It's like, okay, basically what you want me, see, at one point at a station, we were raising money. See, we're nonprofit station, low on the dial, and it costs money. So we had to do fundraisers. Like we did a radiothon, right? So the DJs come on and we'd ask our audience for to help fund the station. Well, so I came on, it's a radiothon. I came on, I started talking to my audience, blah, 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 just put $2 in, $3, whatever, whatever. I raised $65,000 in 30 minutes among poor people. Now, in doing that, that's when I really got bombarded by, because they figure, well, if he can do this, if he can rotate this music, because also what we were doing, we were rotating conscious hip hop, which was retailing at incredible levels in the city of Las Vegas. And the record companies were trying to figure out, well, how's it possible? How's it being done? And if you think for 1 second, I'm telling these people how to really touch and tap into the conscience of black people, then you don't know Friends of Jack the Rapper, because there's no way I'm sharing that, or people that I know are going to ever share that to the corporations. But we need an outlet for us to use it. And like what I was talking about earlier, we need to use this internet radio to continue this legacy of Jack the Rapper, but do it the right way. Give people an example of what a radio station should sound like, even live, which we can do that from Accra. A lot of the radio we have here now, if you turn on your radio in any city in America, and I remember when it was coming in the 80s, it's automated. They may have a personality on the radio for 3 hours in a particular day to make the audience think that they're doing live radio. No. Most of these radio shows you're hearing, I don't care what city you're on, you turn on your radio, they probably recorded that show yesterday or last night, because that's what we started doing when automation came in. I'm saying I can do a radio show right now from my computer right here to, say, Jersey somewhere on the FM frequency or AM frequency. And the people, they don't know I'm not in Jersey. So we're allowing for that separation, but they should know I'm not in Jersey, because your DJ, your MC, he or she is articulating things right now in the neighborhood in which you're brought, in the city and town in which you're broadcasting. If you're not hearing that, then you know you're not dealing with real radio. It's hard to perceive, but if you're not hearing those little bitty things pertaining to your community, your families, it's the corporation pretending to be, local, or pretending to be involved and concerned with the community, which is why you see them running public service announcements a couple every hour or something like that. It's a play on the mind of African people, straight up and period. It is a war without bullets, kind of like politics. It's a war in that recording studio, behind that microphone, at that radio station. I don't care what station I'm with. It could be top 40, CHR. It doesn't matter. It's going to be a war between me, the personality, and the establishment, or whoever owns that radio station, because they're not going to want me or us to actually articulate the thoughts and ideas of black people. And it's something we must do as artists, as MCs, as DJs. See, I'm long-winded.
Shaka, if there's, Dr. Chan has, she has put in the chat Let me read it, what she says here. Brother Tashaka and family, an interesting article that demands a correct and authentic response to expose the conscious and revolutionary intentions of ancestor Joseph Dayton Gibson Jr., aka Jack the Rapper. He deserves a monument and authentic recognition for what he intended to do that the music industry, via the capitalist imperialist machinery, were able to terrorize and dismantle. Uh, um, um, you need the information. So yeah. Um, you can check out that later, but yeah.
Um, if,
I don't know. I don't know who Jose Dayton Gibson Jr. is.
She said
Jack the Rapper is Jack Gibson. His name is Gibson.
his name. What was Jack the Rapper's name?
Jack Gibson.
Jack Gibson.
So I have to take a look at this.
Was he called? What she's giving his ancestor Joseph Dayton Gibson Jr. RKA. Well, maybe. Yeah.
See, Dr. Chen don't play. So so what she just posted, I'm going to
there's
study.
a link. She has a link there.
Right, I
too.
see that. And
Yeah.
let's take a good look into it. Yeah, this may be the see Jack the Rapper had a son. To my knowledge, he had one son, but he now has a grandson, and I think that grandson may be. I just interacted with him just a couple of days ago, recently. So let's see what needs to be done. I just put it that way. The legacy of Jack the Rapper. Jack the Rapper is big. He's huge because he represents all entertainers. If you talk to any entertainer and they can't tell you about Jack, you're talking to the wrong entertainer, because back in the 80s, we made a mistake, and here's the mistake we made: making stupid people famous. That's absolutely something that we were doing, and we got to stop doing that. I'm seriously. So when we have this Jack the Rapper family affair, I'm not calling anybody stupid. What I'm saying is the artists are going to have to know something about Jack the Rapper, about Black music, about Black people, and care about us, not just money. They have to care about us, or they have no business being on stage with people who are talking about, Jack the Rapper and those who came before all of us who exist today. I mean, even people in 30s and 40s whose names we have forgotten, that we should bring back. We need to go right back to the beginning of radio and bring it all the way back up into today and bring those lessons of the music and the people before us right now. And we can eliminate a lot of this nasty stuff we're hearing on the radio. We take black radio seriously, because it is a mental, it's magic. It can hurt us, but it can heal us. And it's that healing part that Jack the Rapper and the elders were talking about. Can we bring that into play? And we can accomplish our will. So let's bring that into play. Now, it took me long enough to get here so I can talk about it, but it's so important that we have to take a look at it. And I've been talking to DJs and radio personalities along the way, throughout the years. We know each other, and they're waiting, but now it's time. So I'm glad that we were able to have this conversation, that I could talk to you, and that this is the place that where I'm saying that the Jack the Rapper family affair is coming, and it's going to take place. Now, if the corporation want to sue me, well, okay, I dare you. Because just like Jack said, if they try to get you, you know what to do. And he's right. So I do know what to do. We need to have a Jack the Rapper family affair and bring our music closer and closer together to the people. And I would say by any means necessary. The music is very, very, it's hurting us right now. It's like you mentioned, it's absolutely hurting us. And that's not our music. That is not our music. So, yeah.
Well, I thank you, my brother. This conversation has been enlightening to me, because, prior to you mentioning Jack the Rapper, I mean, I had no idea. So that is why when I opened up, I said it the way I did, because I mentioned Frankie Crocker and those people in New York City. There were some others, and then you had these you have some personalities now who, like you said, they can be in their bedroom one place and they're streaming radio to different cities, and nobody could know thing. But and we really and truly don't have that you call community radio
Fam.
DJ anymore.
Yeah, the
Who,
fam.
if something happens, I mean, he can talk about what street, what this, and and he can bring certain things in. And today, there's no mention of what's happening in the community. You might have a newscast that is locally produced.
Oh, I lost you.
You lost me?
Wait a minute. Uh-oh. I hit something. I hit something. But if you can hear me.
I'm hearing you.
Oh, sorry. Wow.
Okay.
I like where you're going with that. Oh my. Sorry
Well,
about that.
I'm hearing you.
There I am. Yeah. Can I say something, because we don't have much time and there's so
Yeah.
much,
Yeah,
because
go ahead.
okay, because I mean, Black radio is so personable. I want to talk about Barry White, the maestro.
Okay.
I do. It's because, we all, and I use him as an example to those who care about us. Now, we know he was writing all those love songs and we love his baritone voice. He's Barry White, the maestro, in full concert. He's just beautiful. It's Barry White. But now, when we were working together in a certain city, okay, now we just got the concert. It's Barry White, along with other people. I think BB and CC was there, Big Daddy came, just a lot of people. But Barry White in full orchestra. Now, after the concert, he'd come and we chit-chat, and he'd come to the station and we chit-chat, because he was in Las Vegas, but he wasn't feeling well. And so, we chit-chat. And so I asked him, well, man, can you come on this show? And we'll do a quiet storm. Because the ladies really, really love Barry White. Come on, in every city we know, the ladies love Barry White. And he agreed to do that, but he was sick. And so he came into the station, showed up about 11 o'clock. And we're going to do the quiet storm, kick it off about 12 o'clock, and we're going to go to about 3 o'clock in the morning. So he did show up, and we're talking, and he's, being Barry White, his voice just vibrates so beautifully with African people. It's just perfect. And we're playing different slow jams and his slow jams too. So we do the show, and the women are going crazy, and the phone lines are lighting up, and I'm putting them on live with Barry. They get to talk to Barry White, And then after the show, he drives away, and I know he was sick, but in the fact that he was a sick man, just like any other human being. He was just sick and wasn't feeling good, but he came in and talked to us for 3 hours like it was nothing. And that's because, and I can say this between the conversations we had with the audience, it's because he actually loved us and cared about us. And that's how he was able to write such beautiful music, because he was being for real as he could be. And it wasn't long after that, I left that station. I'm back east somewhere, and I'm reading in a magazine that Barry White had passed away. And I just want to share that, because this is being recorded, and it should be known that some of these artists that we love and that we enjoy, some of them are actually real people, and they really care about us. And if we don't really take care of our music, our radio stations, of our culture, we are really hurting these people. And we must recall, like Jack the Rapper, the Godfather, died a poor man. That makes no sense. These artists are giving us so much. We cannot allow them to be hungry, to be thirsty. No, that's what happened to Anita Baker, because we are allowing that. So we have to take better care of our artists, of our music, and make sure that we are purchasing things from them and not from the corporations, so our artists can live. And and they're not going to tell you. You can't be a celebrity and tell people that you have no money, that you can't pay your rent, that your light bill, and you don't have a car. Okay, you can't do that. Our people would eat them up and never respect them again. But these are things happening behind the mic that are actually happening in the industry. So we need to take better care of our music and of our artists and our people. And it's race first, and that's real, especially when we're talking about Black music. And I just think it's important to mention him. So, sorry, but yeah.
Can you hear me, Robert Tashaka?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. Now you've mentioned something there that brings me back, or takes me back to 1969, 70, when James Brown, I think he was in Newark, New Jersey, and he was on stage and he was selling his own records. It was not being sold in the record stores. You had to buy his records when he had concerts. Did you know about that?
I didn't know that, but that doesn't surprise me because those were the types of things. Of course, James Brown, Jack the Rapper, these guys, these are colleagues. They were trying to organize and do it right. So I'm not surprised at all.
And he was selling millions. I mean, but when the concert was going on, there was somebody on the side or somewhere outside, where you buy the tickets or whatever, there's somebody selling the record. Yep. He did not put his records in stores because he would not be controlled by these corporations.
I didn't know that part, but I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
That's
but that was then. I don't know if he did something different later, but that I'm talking about the late 60s, early 70s. This is what he was doing. So yeah.
Around the same time, he was writing "Say It Loud, I'm Black and I'm Proud."
Yeah, he was.
1968.
You couldn't stop him.
He's proven it. Economics. See, look at the lessons that these people have left for us. If we look into it, in fact, recently, I think Jay-Z, not Jay-Z, Master P, or one of the hip hop artists and another artist, they're trying to form a union. Exactly what the elders in 1970s and 80s under Jack the Rapper's team were trying to do, form a union and unionize Black music. So we need to back up these artists today who are understanding that. In fact, I'm going to see if I can reach out to one of them and have one of them come to the family affair. In fact, they're serious about the economics of doing what they're doing. And it should be unionized so we can control it and the economics can stay in the family, in the community versus Bel Air and Wall Street. So yeah, that's just not happening. I just read about that recently. So I want to take a good look at it. And I will invite this artist to the family affair if they're in fact serious.
Well, let me see if there's anyone having questions. Anybody have a question for Brother Tashak?
I was very comfortable being quiet.
No, you can't do that.
No, it's important. Greetings, family. It is always an honor and a privilege to hear so much knowledge coming, and even in the chat, what we're doing on this end, and I'm hoping others are doing the same, or putting some of these links into the Facebook space so that persons that are watching can also understand what is being shared around music, psychology, the impact of Black radio, Black music, etc. Really want to thank you, Brother Tashaka, for just opening up some space. When you look at that link that I shared, you're going to see people are going to go to people's birth names, and they're going to start bringing up people's other names. And then you're going to see that there's this cross section. That's why what you're sharing with us is critical, that you look at things like that so that there is an accurate narrative of this brother, Jack the Rapper, so persons know who he is, what he was intending to do beyond what happened that we know is part of that capitalist imperialist machinery, because that's what the industry does, is dismantle when they see us moving together, working together, making money. We need to come back to that, making money.
Yep.
They want to interfere with that and our ability to flourish and move as the sovereign ones that we are in an original space. My question was more of just how persons can link with you and be able to gain more information and or be a part of the work and the organization, elements of what you're going to be putting together with this Jack the Rapper family affair and the legacy within it.
Well, I think the best way to reach us is going to be through the UNIA ACL RC 2020. Because we need that umbrella to protect and respect Black music. You can reach me at itbohio.com, which is actually the Underground Railroad email, itbohio.com. And like I'm saying, there's a soundtrack to this, and all we need to do is play it and say it. And that's exactly what we intend to do. And our respect for the Godfather and those who came before us. There's a lot more to it. We have a long way to go, but in unity, we can do it. And that's what Jack the Rapper was pushing, telling me, In unity, you can do anything. And he's right. So let's do anything together in unity. We can preserve Black music and better respect our Black men and protect our Black women who are virtuous creatures of the earth. So let's use our music. It's magic to do that. And I'm willing to contact people. And yeah, I know a lot of people, and let's get it done. So this is the first place that I'm saying that we're going to have the Jack the Rapper family affair. And anybody can test me if they want it. I'm that guy.
Okay. Thank you, my brother. Thank you for being, in this space with us here this evening. It's been very encouraging when it comes to us, projecting what we can do in the future for cleaning up our situation, because it's really messed up. And we I think Black music deserves better respect. Black history deserves better respect. And we don't need people to be creating our history for us, because when you have these corporations, directing what should be said or sung or produced by African artists, and they're doing this so that these other people can make money, and that goes down in history as our artists producing this kind of stuff and disseminating it out there to our people. I don't think that's good enough. So something happened here. Brother Heru, there's a screen. Okay, yeah. All right. Yeah, as I was saying, I'm so happy that you were with us this evening, and we're gonna have some more of that. We've been doing some cultural things other than just politics and history and all that stuff. The serious side of our lives, so to speak. This is serious as well, but I mean, just because it's music and the history of our musicians and artists doesn't mean it is serious. It's serious because people have been stealing our stuff for a very long time.
Yep.
Let's face it, the blue suede shoes thing, you know what I'm talking about? Yeah, I mean, all
Yeah.
that kind of stuff has been going on.
Yes.
We can go all the way back to jazz, so to speak. People, listen, people, this is nothing new what they're doing, but this industry is so corrupt. It's all about making that money. They could care less where you go as a Black person in history or culturally, so long as they make their money. And you will be doing the dirty work for them, just like how they keep you down, they keep your community down, so that you will continue to work. This is all. It's the capitalist formation, and it's the way they do things. But as it is, let's think Garvey. You know what I'm saying? What anyone can do, you can do for yourself as well. It's clearly on us to redeem ourselves, in other words. So, thank you again. And I also want to thank all those who are on this evening with us. This was streamed. I don't know who's on Facebook watching. I welcome all those people, and I thank them for being there. And we will continue with our Freedom Friday Forum to discuss and disseminate good news for our people, because we're in the business of Black redemption. We're in the business of self-reliance. We're in the business of making Black people understand that unity is for us as a community. We're getting nowhere unless we go in that direction. So, my brother, until next time, and so, my people, until next time, I say one God,
one God,
one aim,
one aim,
one destiny.
one destiny.
All right, peace and love. All right, Brother Heru.